Welcome to Simplified UPSC by PPP, where we listen, learn, and grow together. Detailed lecture notes in English and Hindi, plus practice questions for prelims and mains, only on our Telegram channel. Link in description. Like and subscribe for more.
Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are jumping into a high-speed, really high-yield journey through some foundational biology.
We're focusing on NCERT Class 11, specifically the animal kingdom, and trying to connect those dots. You know, the very specific facts to the bigger picture for competitive exams.
Exactly. The mission today is to pull out those critical data points, the definitions, the anatomy, the things that really form the bedrock of understanding.
And not just reciting them, but linking them to why they actually matter, why these things are tested.
All right. And before we get into the nitty-gritty, a really quick word to you, our listener. If this kind of focused breakdown is helping you, please consider subscribing to the channel. That's Simplified UPSC by PPP.
And if you're able, joining the paid membership is what really allows us to keep producing this kind of content.
It really is. So a huge thank you and a massive shout out to all of our existing members. You are the reason this is possible. And for everyone, if you could just take a second to like this audio and drop a comment, it helps a ton.
We really appreciate it.
Okay, let's do it. Section 1. Where do we even start?
Well, we have to start at the absolute core, right? What actually defines a living organism?
Okay, the fundamental.
The fundamentals. So we look for a few properties. The first is growth. You know, an increase in mass or an increase in the number of cells.
But that one has some caveats, doesn't it? Growth by itself isn't a perfect definition.
No, not at all.
I mean, a mountain can grow if more rocks fall on it, but it's obviously not alive.
That's the perfect example. And the same problem comes up with the second characteristic, reproduction.
Right. Because not all living things can reproduce.
Exactly. Think about a mule or sterile worker bees. They are absolutely alive, they metabolize, but they can't reproduce, so it's not a defining feature.
So what's left? What are the hard and fast rules, the ones with no exceptions?
The two truly defining features are metabolism and consciousness.
Okay.
Metabolism is just, well, it's the sum of all the chemical reactions happening inside an organism, thousands of them.
And there's an interesting distinction there for exams, right? About reactions in a test tube.
Yes, this is a key point. If you perform a metabolic reaction in vitro in a test tube, that reaction itself is a living reaction. But the test tube isn't alive. Life needs that organization.
The system, not just the reaction. Got it. And what about the other one? Consciousness.
Consciousness is just the ability to sense your surroundings and respond to stimuli. And everything, even bacteria, has it.
And we humans have something extra.
We do. We have self-consciousness, the awareness of self, which is, as far as we know, unique.
So with life defined, we have millions of species. We obviously need to categorize them. Taxonomy.
It's essential. And the system is built on these categories we call taxa.
And a taxa can be any level of that system.
Any level. So plants is a taxa, dogs is a taxa, mammals is a taxa. They're just labels for different groupings.
Okay, and this brings us to a really critical rule. As you go up the hierarchy, from species all the way up to kingdom, what happens?
The number of common shared characteristics goes down.
It decreases.
It decreases. Members of a species share almost everything. But members of a kingdom, they share far, far fewer traits. It gets more general as you go up.
That's a great point to remember. Okay, let's connect this to a real-world application, something that pops up in environmental questions. Bio-fertilizers.
Right. So our sources highlight a couple of key organisms here. First is Agaricus, the common mushroom. It's a club fungus, a basidiomycete.
Okay, interesting. But maybe not the main player here.
No, the real star for biofertilizers is an organism called Nostoc.
Nostoc, that's a cyanobacterium, right?
Yeah.
A blue-green algae?
Exactly. And it's so valuable for two reasons. First, it has chlorophyll A, so it can photosynthesize. It makes its own food.
An autotroph.
Right. But the really critical part is that it has these specialized cells. They're called heterocysts.
And what do the heterocysts do?
They create an environment without oxygen, which is what's needed to fix atmospheric nitrogen. It turns nitrogen from the air into something plants can actually use. That's the magic.
That's the biofertilizer function. Awesome. Okay, let's dive deeper into the animal kingdom now. Let's talk about a classic model organism, the American cockroach.
Periplaneta americana. A favorite for exams because its anatomy is so distinct.
Let's start with its plumbing, the circulatory system.
Well, it's what we call an open circulatory system.
Open, so Nothing like ours.
Nothing at all. Its blood vessels are pretty poorly developed, and they just open up into this big space called the hemicle.
So the organs are just floating in this fluid.
They are literally bathed in it, and the fluid is called hemolymph.
And that hemolymph is colorless, right? It doesn't carry oxygen.
Precisely. It's just plasma and some cells called hemocytes. They rely on a completely separate network of tubes, the tracheal system, to get oxygen directly to their tissues.
That's so efficient. Okay, so open system, no oxygen in the blood. What about getting rid of waste? Excretion.
They are uricotelic.
Meaning they excrete uric acid.
Correct. And this is a huge evolutionary advantage for a land animal. Getting rid of uric acid requires very, very little water. It's all about conservation.
That makes perfect sense. And the organs that do this.
The main ones are the Malpighian tubules. There are about 100 to 150 of these little filaments right where the midgut and hindgut meet.
Are they the only things involved?
Mostly, but they get some help from the fat body, nephrocytes, and some other glands. But the tubules are the main event.
Okay, now for the part that always blows my mind. The nervous system.
It's just so different from ours. It's spread all through the body, mostly on the ventral side, the belly side.
So the brain isn't really the boss.
Not like ours is. The brain is just a ganglion, the supraesophageal ganglion. It mainly handles the eyes and antenna.
Which leads to that incredible kind of creepy fact.
So that if you cut off its head,
It can keep living.
for up to a week, because most of the nervous control isn't in the head, it's decentralized.
A week without a head, that's just
Oh.
wild. What about vision? They don't have eyes like we do.
No, they have compound eyes. Each eye is made of about 2,000 little hexagonal units.
Lomatidia,
Lomatidia, yes. And this gives them what's called mosaic vision.
which is good for some things and bad for others.
Exactly. It gives them incredible sensitivity to movement, which is great in the dark. But the trade-off is very low resolution. They don't see sharp images.
That makes sense for their lifestyle.
Yeah.
Okay, let's shift from insects to a different kind of creature, the hemichordates. Sort of an evolutionary stepping stone.
A very important one. We're talking about things like Balanoglossus. They used to be grouped in with chordates, but now they have their own phylum.
And their body plan is pretty unique, right?
Very distinctive. Organ system level, bilaterally symmetrical, all the usual stuff. But their body is cylindrical, and it's divided into 3 clear parts.
I remember this. The proboscis, the collar, and the trunk.
Exactly. The proboscis up front, then the collar, then the long trunk. And if we're looking for those high-yield facts for exams, their excretory organ is also very specific.
The proboscis gland.
The proboscis gland. It's located right there in that first body segment, a very clear, unique anatomical feature.
Which is exactly what examiners love to test. Okay, zooming out a bit from specific animals to functional biology. Tissues.
Right, the 4 main types: epithelial, connective, muscular, and neural.
And connective tissue is kind of the jack of all trades.
It really is. It's the most abundant and widely distributed tissue in our bodies. Its whole job is to link and support other tissues.
And has a huge range.
A massive range, from soft stuff like areolar tissue under your skin, all the way to specialized types like bone, cartilage, and of course, blood.
Let's stick with blood for a second. There's a distinction that always trips people up. Plasma versus serum.
Ah, yes, a classic. So blood is made of the fluid part, the plasma, and the formed elements: red cells, white cells, platelets.
Right.
The key is this: plasma contains the clotting factors. Serum is just plasma with the clotting factors removed.
So if you let blood clot and then take the liquid that's left over.
That liquid is serum. Perfect.
Okay, that clears it up. Now let's talk about the engine, the human heart. We call it myogenic. What does that actually mean?
Myogenic means the heart's rhythm is generated intrinsically. It comes from the muscle tissue itself, not from the brain telling it to beat every single time.
And this is where the pacemaker comes in, the SAN.
The sinoatrial node,
Yeah.
Yep. We call it the pacemaker because it generates the most action potentials, about 70 to 75 per minute, and that's what sets the pace for the entire heart.
So if it's beating about 72 times a minute, how long does one full cardiac cycle take? One complete beat?
It's astonishingly quick. The entire sequence contraction relaxation of both atria and ventricles takes about 0.8 seconds.
0.8 seconds. For everything, that's incredible.
The precision is amazing.
Okay, let's pivot from the pump to the framework that holds it all together, the skeleton and muscles.
So 3 muscle types to remember. Skeletal muscle, which is striated and voluntary, the stuff you use to move.
Right.
Then you have visceral or smooth muscle, non-striated, involuntary. That's in your gut. your blood vessels.
And the third one is special.
The third is cardiac muscle. It's striated like skeletal muscle, but it's involuntary like smooth muscle. And it's only found in the heart.
Okay. And the skeleton itself. We've got the axial skeleton, skull, spine, ribs.
80 bones there. And then the appendicular skeleton, which is your limbs and girdles.
And there's one amazing little fact about the vertebrae, specifically the neck vertebrae, that spans almost all mammals.
Yes, this is a great one. Almost every single mammal, from a tiny shrew all the way up to a giant giraffe,
Has 7 neck vertebrae.
has exactly 7 cervical vertebrae. It's this incredibly conserved trait across a huge class of animals.
It really makes you wonder why that number is so fixed. Okay, we've covered a ton of biology. Let's zoom way out and connect this to some bigger systems, geography and physics.
This is where we see how the principles of systems thinking apply everywhere, from a single cell to the entire planet.
First up, a geography link, the world's most productive fishing grounds. Why are they where they are?
They are always found where warm and cold oceanic currents meet.
And what does that meeting do?
It causes a massive upwelling of nutrients from the deep ocean to the surface. And that nutrient supply fuels the entire food web.
It's like a biological system needing its inputs. Okay, a mineral fact. The sources mention mica. Where do we find it in abundance?
In Kodarma in Jharkhand, that's a key geography mineral pairing to lock in.
Good to know. Finally, let's jump to physics. Our sources mentioned a few things that are actually optical illusions caused by our atmosphere.
Right. They list 3. The fact that the sun looks bigger at dusk,
Okay.
the color of the sun at dawn, and, of course, the twinkling of the stars. All atmospheric effects.
And what about a rainbow? What's the core physical principle at work there?
The main phenomenon is dispersion. It's the splitting of white light into its component colors as it passes through the water droplets in the air.
Dispersion. Got it. So, to wrap up what we've done, we've gone from the definition of life itself through cockroach anatomy.
All the way to the human heart, the 7 cervical vertebrae, and linked it back to these huge interdisciplinary ideas from geography and physics.
The whole point is seeing that the mechanics of systems, big or small, are what matter.
Absolutely. Whether it's the 0.8 seconds of a cardiac cycle or the meeting of ocean currents, it's about understanding the underlying process.
Which actually leads perfectly into our final provocative thought for you. We talked about the heart's incredible speed, right?
Yeah.
That rapid myogenic control from the SN.
Super fast regulation.
Exactly. So I want you to contrast that with the body's slower regulatory systems. Think about hormones. For example, if an adult has an oversecretion of growth hormone, it causes a condition called acromegaly.
Right.
And that disease often goes undetected for years. Why? Because the changes are so slow and gradual. It's not a rapid neural thing. It's this creeping, deliberate hormonal action over a long time.
So the contrast is between immediate control and long-term change.
Exactly. So the question to think about is, how does the body balance this spectrum, this need for split-second neural control, versus slow, deliberate hormonal regulation to maintain overall stability or homeostasis?
That's a great thought to chew on.
Definitely. So if you found this deep dive useful today, please hit that like button and leave a comment. Let us know what stood out. Maybe it was the headless cockroach.
I'm betting on the headless cockroach.
It's always a winner. And remember, subscribing to Simplified UPSC by PPP and joining that paid membership if you can is what lets us keep doing this. A final thank you to all our members.
Thank you all so much.
We really appreciate the support, and we will catch you on the next deep dive into the source material.
Thanks for watching. Follow us on Telegram and Instagram. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.